We're live.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for part 1 of 3 for Build Your Personal Brand, featuring these two amazing guest speakers. We have Dennis Michael of Wake Creative, and we have Monika Adams of Monika Social. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to dive right in. Couple housekeeping items before they jump into the great content that they're going to be providing you. I'm going to be your moderator. I'm about to disappear, but I still will be here. I will be answering any of your questions that you may have through either our Facebook Live, or if you're attending on the webinar, you'll see a little Q&A button down at the bottom. Type in your question there, and then I will ask it on your behalf, or it may be answered through their presentation as they go along. So with nothing more waiting, here we go. The floor is yours, guys.
All right. Okay, screen's good?
Yep, screen's good.
All right. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? Are you still a real estate agent? And if you are, what have you accomplished in those 5 years that made you so happy? Now, as you think about your future self, let's come back to today. Is your personal brand hindering or helping you achieve that goal? So Monika and I introduce you to our 3-part series on building a better real estate brand. And today's part 1, presence, how to create the best perception possible to attract your ideal client. But before we start, let us introduce ourselves to you. Go ahead, Monika.
All right. So I'm going to actually just move my little thing here so people can actually see the full screen. I'm not sure if people can see like our faces, but I minimized it on my end. I'm Monika Adams, and I am the owner of Monika Social. I'm in my 6th year actually of business this year. A little bit about me is I have niched mostly into the real estate industry. That being so is that my corporate experience for 10 years was actually working for home and land developers here in Edmonton on the marketing team. And then of course, doing the social media for those businesses. And then other than my Monika Social, I also wear a hat as a marketing mentor at NATE for the Maja Center. So I help a lot of entrepreneurs with launching their businesses here in Edmonton and Calgary. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm happy to be here today presenting.
And I'm Dennis Michael. I'm the owner of Wake Creative, and I help business owners build brand from their past mistakes and limiting beliefs. Wake Creative was started in 2010, and since then I've helped many mortgage brokers and real estate agents create, refine, or reinvent their real estate brands. I've worked with real estate agents like Alex Ward, Terry Peranich, Sonia Terabay, and Nicola Leese, to name a few. And I'm currently working with a fellow colleague of yours, Mike Bratlin. So if you desire to build a better real estate brand, how do you create the best perception possible to attract your ideal client? So it's a competitive market out there. And as an agent, you have to generate leads, business, and continuous referrals to stay top of mind. You are one of over 3,600 professionals in this region. So how are you standing out from everyone? How are you making your audience see you and remember you the next time they need to buy or sell their home when there are over 3,600 options available to them? Now, imagine it's 2 years from today and the market has cooled off because interest rates have increased. Housing prices have stabilized and the market has calmed down. So the spoils of 2021, 2022 are long gone. And the 3,600 professionals in the region has increased to over 4,500. How is business going? How have you maintained your personal brand? And what marketing have you been doing in the last 2 years to stay top of mind to your target audience? It's human nature to stop marketing when you're busy. I mean, really, we can all agree that why bother when you're flat out busy? Times are good. There's nothing to worry about. Am I right? Well, branding and marketing is where many agents fail. When times are tough, they start branding and marketing. When times are good, they stop. So we are going to help you change your mindset and teach you tactics that will keep you top of mind to your audience. The branding and marketing tactics we will teach you over these 3 parts will help you weather any economic changes. And our goal with you today and throughout this 3-part series is to make you better at branding and marketing yourself. When other agents are not marketing because they are being spoiled with the red hot market, you will have developed good habits and are marketing even harder during these moments because you know that when the market cools off, all of your hard work today will pay off in the future, helping you stay top of mind to your audience while everyone else is frantically running around wasting money and time on marketing tactics that are temporary fixes, but not you. You will become a strong personal brand with a foundation that will serve you years from now. So in part 1 of this series today, we are going to discuss your presence. And we are going to show you what it takes to create the best perception possible to attract your ideal client. It's going to be split into 2 sections. First section I'm going to talk to you about is logo design, website, print marketing, and advertising. Then Monika is going to talk to you about video, photos, wardrobe, and social media. So again, just a few housekeeping items. What we want you to do is write down your questions and we will answer them at the end. You can send them to Alex. And we'll have a lot to share with you. So take notes to retain what you are learning. And during this session, ideas and thoughts may come up. Write them down as personal notes to yourself and learn from them. As we present, you may begin strategizing your next move, or you might be calculating on how you can create your own personal brand or refine your personal brand. Use this session and the next 2 to build your personal brand and keep yourself top of mind every year of your career. Now let's begin. So do a search for real estate logos, and what do you think pops up? Yes, countless logo designs where roof peaks and homes are the focal point. The world is saturated with these logo designs. Now, if you were a customer and were asked to pick a real estate agent in the sea of logos, who would win? Who stands out? Which one would they choose and why? It is time to think differently about logo design. The very first time someone sees your logo design, they are judging you. They are deciding what you're worth, your credibility, trustworthiness, quality of work, professionalism, all of this in a matter of seconds. And if you are not sending the right message, you may end up losing a sale, attract a completely wrong kind of customer. They may haggle over your commissions. They may treat you like garbage, or worse yet, they may not hire you. And who wants that kind of risk as a real estate agent when there are over 3,600 choices in this region alone? So I want you to rethink what it means to have a logo design, because your logo is going to be your personal brand's workhorse. It will be the first thing people see or interact with. It will be placed virtually everywhere as you market your services. How you execute your logo design will determine the perception you create in the market. A logo design is powerful. It can tell a story, it can create a conversation, it can change or influence perceptions, it can become memorable. And how many of these logo designs do you think can tick all of these boxes? So when you think about creating a logo design for your personal brand, think about designing it to showcase your customer's desired outcome, or use it to showcase your personal qualities as an agent. Or maybe it's about the client experience. Your logo doesn't have to feature a roof peak or home. And if it does, make it the minor aspect of your logo design, not the focal point. Tell a story, create a conversation, influence perceptions, become memorable. Your logo design is the first piece to creating best perception possible to attract your ideal client. Getting a perfect logo design created starts with hiring a professional. And there are tons of them out there that can help you build a logo for your personal brand. So take time and shop around and find the right fit. The second piece to creating the best perception possible is to attract your ideal client is your website. The templates provided by vendors are a great foundation to build your brand, but If you want to create the best perception possible to attract your ideal client and stay top of mind, let's see how we can improve your audience's experience. If someone heard about you, lurked your social media, or saw your billboard, they're going to look you up. That first interaction will be your website. Your website needs to lead them on a journey of know, like, and trusting you. And that lead is interested enough to spend their time learning more about you. So why would you introduce a lead to your personal brand by asking them to search for a property? Their first experience to you should be you. You want them to know, like, and trust you. Then you want them to contact you because they believe you are the agent to help them with their problem. So structure your website differently. Humans see patterns. Chances are your audience has looked at countless other competitors, and every single website they looked at are following the same templated design as everyone else. You want to disrupt their mindset. So when you disrupt, you increase their interest. Now, David Hutchinson has done a great job of this. Nowhere on his website is there a property search function. It's all about him and what he can do for his clients. Dave made his personal brand the focal point of his website. Now, doing this has created the best perception possible to attract his ideal client. His focus on himself and how he helps his target audience has made him one of the top agents in Toronto. And I was so refreshed by this approach because I have been preaching this for years. Seeing David do this intrigued me. So I asked him why his personal site was structured this way. And his response to me was absolutely golden. So when you think about creating the best perception possible to attract your ideal client, here's a different way of structuring your website. Start with a hero image of you and your unique selling proposition statement. Then lead them on a journey to know, like, and trust you. Make sure your logo design is well displayed. Insert more images of you and your value propositions. Talk about them and how you fix their pains. And finish with one simple call to action: how to contact you if they want to hire you. Now, enhancing the perception of your personal brand can be reinforced with print designs, and these pieces will enhance your credibility and professionalism with your audience, helping you create the best perception possible to attract your ideal client. But they can also hurt your perception if designed poorly. So this is all you need to know about marketing. Your customer is focused on how your service is going to help them in a positive way. How you address their pain or increase their happiness is the only thing on their mind. Now, are you creating a reason for them to read your print designs? So create print designs that will educate your leads and prospects on what is important to them. Bottom line is give them value. Give them a reason to keep their eyeballs and mind glued to your print designs. And have fun with your print designs. They are communication tools that can keep you top of mind. The more unique your print design, the easier it will be to remember. Design print materials that fit your brand, not someone else's. Now, you will be able to see the difference between print designs created by a professional and those that are not. Invest in your print designs. Hire someone who is proficient in this area. A well-designed print piece can last years if executed properly. There are plenty of graphic designers available that can create wonderful pieces that will showcase your personal brand the right way, helping you create the best perception possible to attract your ideal client. Now, advertisements are an extension of your personal brand. If you are spending the time and money to create an amazing personal brand, it must be extended to your advertisements as well. They will help reinforce your amazing personal brand, multiplying your perception to attract your ideal client. Now, I'm sure you've seen many of these times before: billboards, bus benches, public transit ads. Big names in real estate will invest in these tools to reinforce their brand supremacy. When designed right and advertised in the right place, they can impact people. But unfortunately, these are expensive marketing tools that often have no measurable way of knowing what the ROI is. So what I want to do is let's look at different ways you can advertise that will help you create the best perception possible to attract your ideal client. So you all drive to client meetings, show homes, open houses, hosting open houses, and your vehicle is a perfect place to invest in advertising because it's with you everywhere you go. Introduce your tagline, show off your personal brand, add a call to action, add a unique domain name and a phone number that is exclusive to your vehicle wraps so you can track leads. And vehicle wraps can last you anywhere between 5 to 10 years if you take care of them. And when you create a personal brand properly, it will never age. So the wrap on your car will become timeless. And there are many other unique ways to advertise your personal brand that will help you create the best perception possible to attract your ideal client. So Mike Bratland is sponsoring a picnic table for baseball season. And instead of bragging about himself, he made his advertising space an interactive game table for people of all ages. Basically, it's giving value. This is a unique and cost-effective way to advertise that's going to have at least 6 to 7 months of age or more. Now look at your ideal target demographic. Where are they hanging out? What are they doing when they're not working? How are they spending their days? Now ask yourself, are there any unique advertising opportunities you can use that will help you create the best perception possible to attract your ideal client? Now I'm going to hand it over to Monika.
Okay, so I just want to start out with thinking a little bit of video. There is different types of video. So as a social media marketing strategist, video can be kind of different, whereas there's your traditional kind of open house video, but you can be doing a lot more types of videos. So home listings with videos receive 4 times more inquiries. So a lot of traditional older ways is of course having photography, which I will be speaking on photography. It is good to have your professional photos done by a professional photographer so that it is looking sharp and professional and showing people the proper angles of selling the home. But it does help a little further if you have a video of a bigger home. Of course, if it is something like a condo, you might just stick with more photos because there is not as many rooms to showcase. But again, if you really want to show that condo off the best way possible with, let's say, things like COVID, not a lot of people are comfortable going to see listings or open houses. So it is a better alternative to give them a nice video of touring the home so that they can decide if they want to really go and see it further. And again, there is all types of videographers. I know that there is there's people that are starting out, and then there's kind of more people that have been doing it for a few years. You just want to make sure it's the style of them shooting, because again, they're an artist, they're a creative person. So a different videographer will have a different view than a different one. But it is a good way of selling yourself a little further if you also step behind the camera. So thinking a little bit more than just your typical open house showing a home, you could kind of step more in front of the camera and show people around the home and speak about selling points of the home, as well as doing even customer testimonials, or even speaking about a community, as well as video is also going to be pretty relevant with things like Instagram and TikTok now, where you basically have to be making video content. Photos aren't going to be doing as much for you on the content basis. So I always like to tell people that, just a simple thing like your phone and a gimbal here in this photo will suffice for making your, Instagram reels and for making your TikTok videos. You don't necessarily need a videographer to make those simple social media videos. So that's just something I like to touch on. And this gimbal here, there's all types of gimbals that you can look at on Amazon or Best Buy, but it's just something that basically stabilizes the camera so that you can move around without maybe shaking. You might not think you shake, but you might end up shaking a little bit. And then some people will notice that in the video quality. But again, there is so many YouTube videos on even just showing you on how to make an Instagram reel or a TikTok video. But it does, of course, help if you have somebody shooting you. But if you don't have somebody shooting you, you just have to get a little bit more creative with using your gimbal and just setting it. But the biggest thing you do have to focus on when you're shooting a video is, today I'm sitting in front of a light. So a good rule of thumb is when you're shooting a video and you are the person in the video, is that you should always have a light in front of you. Because if I turn my light right now, you're going to notice I'm a lot darker. But if I put the light back on, I probably don't look as tired and I look a little bit more awake. And it just gives a better video perspective of a person if there's a light in front. Also, when you're shooting, you should always try to use as much natural light as you can. So of course, windows or shooting outside is going to be best than just shooting somewhere in the dark, or turn on as many lights as you can in that room. But natural light does give the best kind of without having too many shadows. I think I'm okay. So photography. So a lot of people, of course, when they're maybe starting out in real estate, they will try to take some of their own photos. And I do recognize that there is a space for that. But the thing is that in today's marketplace, you want to make sure that you're showing people the most professionalism that you can. So it is going to be beneficial if you spend a little bit more to get those good photos, because then people will want to work with you. They'll say, oh, okay, well, that realtor maybe, just takes photos with their phone. They don't have as good photo to show my home or to show my property or land or whatever it is. So they're going to kind of pick and choose on who actually has good photography, as well as having your own photography as a realtor. It is a good idea to have, a couple new headshots every year, as well as having some lifestyle photos of just you in a home, or something that can tell people a little bit more story about yourself than just having one photo of yourself. And again, if you can see this photo right here, it is a professional person took this photo. A photographer is going to be a creative person again. So there's different photographers that are going to take different angles. Again, if you can see in this photo, it's a big difference if somebody that professionally knows how to take the photo with the proper lighting or making it look too dark. Now, you can also alter that if you are really good on Photoshop and can edit photos, but for most people, they don't know how to use Photoshop. So it's just more beneficial if they have a professional photographer that knows how to take things with the proper flash on. And again, there's an array of photographers here in Edmonton and other places, but it's good to pick somebody that the style that you like, the way they shoot, because everybody has a different style on making the photo darker or lighter, and the angles that they try to do creatively. So professional photos can sell listings 32% faster. This is basically a stat that does not lie. Most people want to see a listing of at least, the top photos of the listing before they decide to actually book to go and see it further. And again, this is something, these photos you can use not just on your listing, but then you can use these photos on your social media and your paid advertising. So you want to make sure when you're doing a paid Facebook or Instagram that it is going to be a very clear, crisp photo, because again, that's going to actually help sell the home. And people are going to be looking at realtors and noticing the difference between the people that use professional photos and the ones that don't. So you want to make sure that you're standing out as much as you can. Again, you're trying to create the best perspective with people choosing you and wanting to work with you further. Okay, so wardrobe. Back when I worked in the corporate world, of course, it was very business casual, but business casual can mean many things to people. Some people think business casual is jeans and a golf shirt. Some people think business casual is jeans and a blazer jacket. The rule of thumb is that you have to think about what ideal clients you're trying to get. So I never tell a real estate agent, hey, you should maybe not wear a golf shirt or shorts, but maybe that's the perceived way they want to come off, is that they're laid back and they're looking for more just people that are just everyday folks. But if you're a person that's going to, you know, maybe try to say, hey, I want to get those $2.5 million, $5.5 million homes, then you might have to think a little differently on wearing a little bit more business attire. When you're thinking of like a business suit or a dress suit if you're female, but just something a little bit more not business casual. Again, it's a good rule of thumb when you are going for a photo shoot or you're wanting to do lifestyle photos for your social media, that you do go with an array of clothing, but you do want to keep them not too pattern heavy. It is okay to have something like the striped shirt, but you don't want to have like different colors and a bunch of different stripes and then like patterns on top of the stripes, and keeping things neutral. So if you want to use your branding colors, that's another good rule of thumb to follow is, hey, if blue is your color, you use blue. So avoid trendy or aggressive patterns and designs. So some people, unfortunately, they end up wearing like too much pattern either on the top or the bottom. And sometimes that can be really distracting. And sometimes you actually don't notice that it might make yourself look different than you actually perceive yourself. Again, you don't want to be too flashy. You want people just to see, okay, this is who you are, and just kind of come off a little softer. If you do want to go, you know, going with animal print or something like that, then I would say maybe the shirt underneath is animal print, and then the blazer on top is kind of more of a gray or black color, and then the pants are just black. So you can have a pop of a pattern or something like if you wanted to have stripes, but just one thing underneath should be stripes. Again, there are a lot of professional people that can actually help you. I've actually worked with myself. I've worked with a lady in Edmonton that actually helped me with my wardrobe with my photo shoots. So there are people out there, and if you want me to refer you to, there's two ladies in Edmonton that actually do professional helping you with your style or your look. Definitely reach out to me and I can send you those two referrals, because they even come to your closet and look at everything and then kind of say, hey, you need to get more of this, you need to get more of this. And this is kind of what you're wearing, this is what people are perceiving out of you. So if you want any help with that, there are actually professional, they're basically called professional, I think they're called professional outfit designers or professional wardrobe. Yeah, professional wardrobe helpers. So that's something to think about. And then social media. So to tie all of kind of what I've talked about, obviously video, photography are a huge element of content creation. So when you're thinking of your social media, you do need to have video and photography so that you can make things on social media. Now, as a realtor, there's a lot of social media platforms to be on. But there's certain ones that are going to have your ideal client. So you have to start thinking of who is your ideal client. Are you looking for an older audience or a younger audience? So social media engagement has increased by 61%. This actual metric is from the start of the global pandemic. So before the global pandemic, a lot of traditional realtors didn't really use social media. But then when the pandemic hit, they kind of all had to panic and they had to start using social media because that was the only way to get business and to show properties virtually on Facebook or Instagram by going live. So there was a huge increase, of course, with social media by 61%. And it actually has increased even more into this year because a lot of people are still very hesitant, of course, with COVID kind of not really going away. It might just be staying here. So a lot of people are having to adopt social media because traditional mediums are maybe not working as much when we have something like a pandemic going on. Okay, so Facebook is used by 90% of agents. Facebook is going to be, of course, an older audience. So when you're thinking of Facebook, it is still good to have a Facebook business page. Of course, if you're having if you want to be targeting an older audience. So if your average ideal client is anywhere from, let's say, 25 to 65, well, then you do need to be on Facebook because the baby boomers are only on Facebook. But a lot of the people like my age, the millennials, are maybe not going to be on Facebook as much anymore. They're going to be more on Instagram, but Facebook still has the older audience. And of course, it is a really good place for doing like we're doing today, a Facebook Live, to attract an audience, as well as your Facebook business page is a hub for giving your information out to your audience, as well as driving people to your website. So Facebook nowadays, you probably have noticed in the last 2 years, is that it's more about communities and Facebook groups. So of course, when you have a business page, you can be sharing your business page into those community page as free advertising, as well as you can even have your open house listings in Marketplace. And that's another way of advertising for free through Facebook. LinkedIn is used by 59% of agents. So LinkedIn is an area where people are just starting to utilize a little bit more. LinkedIn has changed a lot in the last, I would say, 10 years. When I first went on LinkedIn, when I graduated in 2009, it was very old school. But now it's come a long way, and it is where mostly professionals hang out. So some people in the corporate world, they're not on Facebook or Instagram. They only go on LinkedIn. And I'm talking about your top CAOs and more of those bigger professionals. So if that is your ideal client, then you maybe need to be showing up on LinkedIn. LinkedIn also now has where you can use video. You can do more things like polls. You can have articles. There's just a little bit more usage to do with LinkedIn, but it's a less crowded space for more professionals. So if that is your target audience, then it's a good idea to start thinking about maybe adding in LinkedIn into your social media plan, as well as using your videos and your professional photos on LinkedIn will kind of have a bigger impact on your engagement. Of course, more social media platforms that you're on, it does help your SEO with people finding you on Google if they're searching in Edmonton or Sherwood Park Realtor. Instagram is used by 39% of agents. So it is still growing. A lot of people, of course, are still relying on Facebook, but a lot more people are realizing that if they want to target first-time home buyers, they do need to be on Instagram, because Instagram is a younger generation. Yes, there are some people that are 50 and 40 on Instagram, but it's more people from like 20 to 35 that are on Instagram. And Instagram has changed a lot in the last 2 years. It used to be primarily just professional photos and looking at photos in the newsfeed, but now they're competing with TikTok. So things like you're seeing your Instagram Reels now in your feed. That is because that's the same thing what TikTok is video generated content. So it's short created videos showing a person something that you want to highlight. So a reel is something that does get very good engagement now on Instagram. So most people have to now focus more on video content than just photos all the time. But it's a good idea to still do the two, just so that you're keeping your content balanced. But I'm sure you guys have noticed if you're on Instagram that it's very video heavy with the reels. But again, the way to use Instagram is to drive people to your website. So you have to be utilizing your stories. So some people and some agents, they're on Instagram, but they're not utilizing their story. So when you post on Instagram, you should be thinking, hey, my open house is on my feed, but I need to share it to my story, because most millennials and younger audiences are only going on Instagram and looking at their story highlights. So I always like to mention that people have to think a little bit strategically different on Instagram now, because it's just always changing. So Twitter is used by 33% of agents. Now, I always like to say that real estate agents, unless you have somebody doing your social media, it is of course going to be a lot if you're on all 5 of these or 3 of these platforms. So if you're doing your social media yourself, I am one of those social media strategists that will tell you that you should focus on the 2 the most, because otherwise you'll spread yourself thin. Now, of course, if you have somebody like me doing your social media, then you have a little bit more help. So why not go for a larger reach with getting your brand out there? Twitter is a space though that is mostly used for news, and highlights. But the thing about it is a lot of people do go to Twitter to look for news and what's going on in other countries, what's going on in Edmonton, what's going on with COVID. So people are on there. So if you're strategically on Twitter and you're commenting and you're sharing things about your business, you are going to be getting views. But again, Twitter is a little bit more of an older audience. So it is anywhere from somebody that's 30 to about 65. You're not going to get your first time home buyers as much on there, the 20 and 25-year-olds. So I just like to tell people that Twitter is a little bit different. Again, though, Twitter does have a different social media strategy. So it's a good idea to think a little bit more as Twitter as being somewhere to share your education or blogs or articles, instead of just posting photos all the time. You can post videos as well, but it's mostly about sharing educational things on Twitter. So social media is a free tool to use. One of the biggest things is that even what Dennis was talking about with advertising on billboards and those traditional things, those are going to cost you a lot of money, where social media is free until you do the paid advertising. I always like to coach people on doing the free as good as they can. And then the advertising is a supplement on, hey, I want to really get this open house out. So I'm going to target really specific in this region. But there's so much you can be doing on free for social media that you can just make sure you're fully utilizing it and you're increasing your followers before having to spend too much money. Now, of course, Facebook owns Instagram. So if you are doing a paid advertisement, it is good to do Facebook and Instagram at the same time. But again, you want to be utilizing your professional photos, your videos, and then yourself with your professional wardrobe coming on Facebook to attract people. So if you haven't thought of doing Facebook Live or Instagram Live, that's something that you should definitely think about. You can even show people around a house on an Instagram Live or a Facebook Live, and it's free. Thanks for this talk, and I'm sure you guys are going to have some questions. So I know, I'm not sure if I'm taking this one away or if Dennis is, but what's your next move? So your next move is thinking about what we talked about today. So logo design, website, print marketing, online and offline ads, and video, your photos, wardrobe, and social media. So if you have, I know if Dennis is going to come on now, if you have any questions, definitely reach out to Dennis and myself. Of course, we'd love to see you at the next one that we're going to be hosting. We will verify that date, but it should be in the middle to the end of May. But if anybody has any questions, I think we were saying that you can send them to Alex or you can message us individually. Is that what we want to say, Dennis?
Yeah, if Alex has any questions for us, if there's been anything that has been mentioned, we can answer them now.
Yeah, there's been no questions posted in the chat as of yet. What we'll do is this recording will be uploaded both to Maxwell Devonshire Realty's internal Facebook group, as well as Maxwell Realty's private Facebook group and YouTube. So what we'll do over the next month, while we wait for the next, or part 2 of 3, we'll accumulate all of those questions, and then I will send them to you guys in an email to start off, and maybe at the start of session 2 that you can go back and re-answer those questions that have come forth.
Sounds great.
Excellent.
Well then, thank you so much to the two of you for joining and helping spread some knowledge about how to build your personal brand. It is something that realistically every single real estate associate should be taking seriously, because ultimately you are the person that your clients are dealing with, and you are the reason why they're dealing with you. So having a personal brand that is identifiable to who you truly are and what you want to represent is important. So thank you both, Monika and Dennis, and I look forward to part 2 of 3 in the month of May.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having
see
us.
you guys.